It has been days since a mysterious missile-like vapor trail was recorded off California's coast, and the federal government still can't provide a concrete answer as to what it is. Now, the Pentagon says that they are satisfied it was, quote, likely caused by an aircraft. And while we wait for the truth, a number of other theories are making the rounds.
Look, this is not an airplane because of the plume and the way you see that plume. Airplanes do not con at sea level or 5,000 feet like that. I spent 35 years flying fighters, and I never saw an airplane con like that. That is a missile. It's launched from a submarine, and you can see it go through a correction course, and then it gets a very smooth trajectory, meaning that the guidance system is now kicked in. It's going at about 45 degrees away from you. That's why you're not seeing a lot of vertical velocity.
General, are you 100% certain?
Sean, I've watched that film 10 times. I've watched 15 other Trident films, SM-3s, Standard Missile 3s, and TLAM launches. I am absolutely certain that that is not an aircraft.
Sarah, we're told this is an optical illusion, that you really got to see it in its context, that everyone seemed to buy into the conventional wisdom. Now, I listen to General McInerney, who has a tremendous amount of background and experience. He says something very different. Your reaction?
Well, you know, I haven't just heard it from the general. I've been hearing this from other sources as well, and I'm also hearing the other side. I'm not an expert here on aircraft and trajectories. I think the general is much more an expert than I. He's an aviator, and he understands aircraft, and he understands missile systems. I contacted NORAD today. I spoke with officials at NORAD, and the one thing they did tell me is that it was not a missile, but they did not give any other explanation as to what this could be. And so it leaves me to wonder if our Defense Department and our folks at NORAD have no idea for the last day and a half what this is. So speculation is out there.
Mr.
Well, the
Minitor,
Pentagon was very clear that this was not a foreign-launched product, that they had not been observing any launches from any naval aircraft.
Do you think that's an airplane, Richard?
You know, I don't know. It could possibly be an airplane. It could be a toy rocket launched as a test. I mean, if we're going to throw out a hypothesis,
rocket? That looks like a toy rocket to you?
Well, we don't have anything to look at the scale. And if you do, if you look at a terror cell,
it looks like a toy rocket to me.
Well, some of those toys are pretty sophisticated, Sean. But if you were a terror cell, you wanted to test America's defenses. I don't know what your parents gave you for Christmas,
but that is no toy rocket. I mean, it's either an airplane or it's a missile, in my mind. And I got to be honest. There's something. Look, I'm willing to accept that there are optical illusions. I'm willing to accept that this might be something else. This might have been an aircraft. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. But when I hear General McInerney here with his background, his expertise, him being a pilot, and his definitive answer that this is a missile, I'm kind of nervous that maybe my government's covering something up here.
Look, I can't imagine that this is a foreign submarine launching a missile off the coast of the United States.
Does that look like an
Well, it could be an airplane, but I mean, It also
could be. It could be an airplane. I totally agree.
It could be a bunch of kids on a boat with a, pranking, launching something.
Richard,
or it could be an experimental
Richard, this is not
aircraft.
Kids, this is not a Roman candle, for crying out loud. I mean, I don't know what. This is not a silver jet. This thing is.
Well, did you see just 6 months ago several British kids were able to put something in orbit?
Well, General, here's the if in fact this is a missile, then we've got ourselves a major national security threat here.
Joseph Farah is the founder of WorldNet Daily. According to Joseph Farah's G2 bulletin in an article dated November 19, 2010, experts are now saying that the mystery contrail off the California coast last week was from a Chinese missile. And of all things, that the muted response thus far was a decision made by the president himself, and that U.S. Navy anti-submarine warfare sensors apparently failed again. And on top of this, experts are speculating that the Pentagon is working with the media to orchestrate a cover-up of the entire affair. Farah's report says this, that the U.S. Defense Department and North American Aerospace Defense Command have speculated publicly that the unidentified contrail of a projectile simply came from a jet airplane and posed no security threat to the United States. But, Farah reports, several experts are now raising provocative and disturbing questions about the government's official response. Two governmental military experts with extensive experience working with missiles and computer security systems have examined the television video and conclude that the mysterious contrail originating some 30 miles off the coast near Los Angeles did not come from a jet airliner, but rather, they say, the exhaust and the billowing plume emanated from a single-source nozzle of a missile, probably made in China. They further suggest the missile was fired from a submerged Chinese nuclear submarine off America's coast, and point out that the timing of the alleged Chinese missile shot coincided with an increasing confrontation between the U.S. and China, and was likely meant to send a message to Washington. Indeed, the Federal Aviation Administration documents that there were no aircraft flying in the area at that time, the night of November the 8th, Farah's report says. A former U.S. Air Force fighter pilot and commander of an F-15 squadron and an F-16 wing, Brigadier General Jim Cash was assigned to NORAD as an assistant director of operations and is fully knowledgeable of NORAD procedures. Here is what he says. The question that still must be answered is why NORAD's muted response was simply that North America was not threatened, and later our government approved the lame excuse that the picture recorded was simply an aircraft leaving a contrail. He went on to say, there is absolutely no doubt that what was captured on video off the coast of California was a missile launch, was clearly observed by NORAD, assessed by a four-star general in minutes, and passed to the president immediately. Cash continued with this ominous warning. We must question the timing of this shot across our bow. The president was abroad being diplomatic, which means trying to placate China. And in this astounding admission, Wayne Madsen, a former naval officer who has worked at the National Security Agency and the Naval Data Automation Command, said the inability to pick up what he described as a Chinese Jin-class submarine-launched ballistic missile isn't the first time U.S. Navy anti-submarine warfare sensors have failed. Madsen, who today is an investigative journalist, said the Pentagon is working, quote, overtime with the media and on the Internet to cover up the latest debacle. However, even some reporters who cover the Pentagon full-time are beginning to question the Pentagon's version of events over the skies west of Los Angeles. Dr. Lyle J. Rapicki of Sentinel Intelligence Services, LLC, said that the contrail incident off the Los Angeles coast is fraught with peril due to the defense systems and protocols in place that should have detected the alleged submarine. Dr. Rapicki said, the decision to officially announce that North America was not threatened and all the excitement was due to an aircraft leaving a contrail is a decision that reaches beyond the four-star general level and goes directly to a decision made by the commander-in-chief.